when this piece of crankshaft that I turned down to make that tool, when that bottoms out against the bottom of that housing, it will put the bushing in at the right depth. At that point, you just disassemble all of that. The washers and nuts, all of that comes apart. This would have been right there, and when that bottoms out, it can't go any further. That's the way that works. So, but I will show you something. The crankshaft that was in this engine that we're working on, this was the housing that we're replacing because it was all chiseled up. And as you can see, it had been so tight. The gasket here was too thin. It had been so tight that it wore, and it also wore on the crankshaft on both sides. So it was definitely too tight. They did not need to tighten that up that tight. That's all they are to installing a bushing in a Maytag. That's all they are. Now I'm going to clean up the table here, and then I'm going to put a bushing in the crankcase itself. We get on with that. Oh yes, to install the oil retainer ring is you put this, I'm going to, you see where that gas hole there, that gasket sealer? I'm just going to take it all out of there. It wouldn't be good practice there may be a shaving or something in there, so you want to definitely clean everything meticulously. Clean, 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 clean. Okay, that's good enough. It's probably better than it was when it left the factory. And that looks pretty good. I'm just going to, that looks really good. To put that ring in there is, and like I say, I do have somewhere here, not that I even want to find it, but I do have the oil seal type, and I advise against using these just categorically in this instance. It does more harm than it does good. Actually, my opinion, you would be better not to have one in there than to have one of these. I'm just saying. Okay, now you see that right there? That's level across through there. That's the depth that should be. And if you look inside yonder, you can see a distance between the bushing and that oil retainer. And they are two sizes, and that goes there. And when it comes up there, all that does is just kind of cups that little bit of film of oil that comes out. That's the way you do that. That's good to go. It's a 1937 Maytag engine crankcase, and I'm going to put the bushing in this right down in yonder. And this oil retainer right here, do not prise that up out of there like that with a screwdriver. You will ruin it. The way to get that thing out of there is use a little crooked thing like that, put it up in the housing yonder, kind of sideways, and bump it there, and there the little thing came out. These are oil retainer rings. That one's in really good shape. It don't show very much wear there where it's been rubbing on the crankshaft. Save those. We're going to reuse this one. So what we've got in there is a bushing down in yonder. It does not have an oil groove in it. These did not have. It does have a hole in the bottom where the fuel jet fits up in here, and that's where the fuel and air mixture enters the crankshaft. So we will After we put the bushing in, we will run a 3/8 drill bit through that hole down in yonder and open that up. I'm going to remove this bushing, and the way that you do that is as such. This is a normal procedure, and I will, if I might bring your attention, this crankcase has been primered with Rust-Oleum primer, inside and out. And that surface right down in yonder was primered. And before you assemble that engine back, you want to remove on that high part right there, you definitely want to remove all paint and primer from that surface. That needs to be really, really, really clean. If you do not, if you assemble the engine with that surface right there painted, it will affect how thick of gasket you put here in order to set the side plate. So that has to be perfectly clean, and I will take some thinner. After I get the bushing put in there, I'll take some thinner and clean that really, really, really good with no paint on that surface. To remove the bushing, and I did go ahead and I have modified my removal tool somewhat. I added a 1/2 inch all thread. I was using a 7/16, and I just, but that's that crankshaft I cut down. You just put it right in yonder, down through the bushing. So simple. And you put this collar up here, and that's big enough for the bushing to go down in, so there'll be no obstruction. That one goes down in there like that. This collar goes here to center that up. The thrust bearing goes there. The collar goes up there. Just a couple of take-up washers and the nut. And we're going to remove this bushing. I've got these are 3/4 nuts. I've got a deep socket there. I've got the impact here, and to get that bushing out of there, you put that on yonder like that, you put that on yonder like that, and we have that bushing out of there. And this is what we ended up with. Disassemble this. And right there is the bushing that we just extracted from the engine. There's the hole, the tapers on the inside. This right here, if you put the micrometer on it, will be 1 and 60 thousandths.